My earliest memory was being warned by my mother to never venture into the woods behind our house after dark. Beware, only evil lies beyond the horizon. As I grew older, I questioned why the woods were so dangerous at night. Mother would never elaborate and simply insisted that it was best to remain ignorant. At night, I would gaze out of my bedroom window at the dark trees that lie so close. I swear I'd see a shadow moving in the darkness, but perhaps it was only a forest animal. Early one morning, I was jolted from my sleep by screams. I looked out the window and saw a crowd of townspeople hollering in agitation at the edge of the forest. I watched in confusion as several more townspeople came out of the woods, carrying the small corpse of my friend Jeremy over their shoulders. "Fool!" my mother chided me later that day. "He ought to have known better not to go out into those woods after dark." She then turned to me with a pained expression, as if the death of your father wasn't enough. I glanced at the sole portrait of my father above the mantel, a small, slim man with wavy hair. He had been killed when I was just a baby. Years later, when I became a young man, my older cousin, Marcus, became the town sheriff. Hungry with ambition, he sought to prove himself. "I say, we take up weapons and kill that murdering psycho who has terrorized our town for 20 years!" he shouted one night at our small town's bar. Many in attendance agreed that the time had come to seek vengeance for the dead. A hunting party was formed. We all gathered at the edge of the woods, rifles held high, but I hesitated. My mother's warning rang in my ears. I couldn't do it. My cousin gave me a disappointed look, and then he marched in with the rest of the men. Guilty, I waited by the edge of the woods all night, but the men never returned. At one time I thought I heard a distant scream, but perhaps it was only the wind. Dawn finally came. We all knew what had happened. I and a few others ventured into the woods under the safety of daylight, and soon we returned, carrying the bodies of the slain men. Marcus's body was the last to be found. I collapsed when I found it butchered on the forest floor. That night, preparations were made for the mass funeral. The press arrived a day later, but answers were in short supply, and no one dared to search the woods at night. For days, I sat in my house, boiling with anger. The bloody face of Marcus burned into my memory. Had I only gone with them, perhaps. The days turned to weeks. The full moon rose one night, and my rage tipped over. I grabbed my rifle and entered the woods. With only the light of the moon to guide me, I could barely see as I ventured deeper into the chilling darkness. I cursed myself for forgetting a flashlight in my fury. Nearly blind, I felt out with my hands, swiping helplessly for something to grab. And then I saw it. A light in the darkness. It was a small fire. I pushed forward and entered a little clearing. Crouched by the fire, but somehow still shrouded in shadow, was my father. He gazed up at me, and his lips parted to show a row of jagged, blood-stained teeth. And then he spoke. "I've been waiting for you."